Hey honey, it's time to go look at our estate plan, make sure that we have things taken care of for our kids.
Welcome. We are Money Copilot LLC. Join us as we share our roadmap to help people along on their journey to better financial health. Your wallet will thank you.
All right, so I do have an additional question.
Okay.
Let's say I've got a will. You hear all the time, all you need to have is a will to be able to take care of your family after you're gone. Is that enough? Am I covered by doing that?
Yes and no. I mean, it's a great start.
Okay.
But you also want to think about incapacity planning. So what I mean by that is, so the will takes over once a person passes away.
Mhm.
But there's an equal, as we're living longer, medical advances, it's more likely that we're actually, you could get ill or you could be in an accident. And so you really want that. Also consider incapacity planning during your lifetime, and then the will takes over when you pass away. So the incapacity planning documents include a financial power of attorney,
Okay.
a healthcare directive,
All right.
which used to be back before 2007, you had two documents. You had a living will and then a healthcare power of attorney.
Okay.
And now the advanced directive combines these two things. So basically it names the people who would make decisions for you.
Mhm.
And then it also goes into some of the healthcare decisions about, if you were in a coma, what would you want? Do you want to be hooked up to machines, or do you want to have, natural death?
Okay. So let me stop you then, because we're still going through a pandemic, but we just had a really, 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 really big impact from this pandemic.
Yes.
How does that apply? Because I heard about so many people being on ventilators, particularly early on.
Yes.
How would they have known to be able to plan around that?
No. So I think there were some incidences in early March and April. With novel diseases, there's really no way. We just didn't have enough information about what the disease was. Initially in March and April of 2020,
Mhm.
if you went into the hospital and if you were on a ventilator, the medical community essentially didn't have enough information, and it was assumed, or for lack of a better way of saying it, you weren't expected to come back. It was it was viewed as
A death sentence, pretty
this
much.
this is it. There's
Okay.
not much the medical community can do for you. We'll keep you on a ventilator as long as we can, and then, right? So in that case, that healthcare directive would say, hey, if it said, hey, I don't want to be on a ventilator, don't do anything. There were people that were denied ventilators at that point, but we just didn't have enough information. Going into June, July, August, once we realized that, hey, lots of people are coming off of ventilators, it is helping to cure people, and this is a short term, this is not a death sentence.
Okay.
You can live a healthy life after having COVID. Once we got to that point, and that was really about May. I mean, we started really learning a lot of stuff in March, April, but by May, June, I think our medical community really knew, hey, ventilators are not it's not like once you go on, you're probably not
forever.
Yeah, you can come off. There was more evidence. So once that happened, that thought process changed. But with novel, I mean, I'm an attorney, I'm not a medical professional, so
Of course not.
I'm not gonna say, I don't know any cannot give medical advice with any authority, but it evolves. And the legal document has its limitations when it comes to novel diseases.
So when the pandemic hit, like you said, no one knew it was coming, right? No one really knew what was going to happen as a result. And there are plenty of children who unfortunately are without parents because of it. If we look back, hindsight being 2020, what could have been a nice trigger, whether it's on an annual basis, biannual basis, or whatever, to say, hey, honey, it's time to go look at our estate plan, make sure that we have things taken care of for our kids?
So, I mean, I think that's a great point. There's two nuances to that, right? So you raise a wonderful point that on an annual basis, to me, estate planning comes under the financial planning umbrella.
Okay.
So as you would meet with your financial planner on an annual basis, review your investments, what's going on, you should do that with your estate plan. Just look through and read through your documents.
So I want to stop you right there. For you people out there who are not meeting with anybody to do financial planning, I'm here for you. Money Copilot is here for you. And we can, of course, put you in touch with Neeli Shah if you need to in order to make your plans. Because at the end of the day, there's so many people living paycheck to paycheck right now. It's hard to focus on the financial planning. But you can hear here, it's important to be able to take care of your family. Go on.
Yes, it needs to be reviewed on an annual basis because our lives are dynamic, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't live a static life. Circumstances change, family members change, we add family members, we may lose family members.
Mm-hmm.
Our lives are dynamic. So our estate plans should follow our lives.
Okay.
Right? So, I would say review everything. Maybe I typically find that every decade or so, your circumstances have changed enough where it may warrant a update.
Okay.
Revamp.
Is there anything that you would say focus more on outside of the will?
Well, I think there's 4 to 5 documents that I think everybody should have.
Okay.
So everybody should have a will.
And that's one of the 4 to 5.
That is one of the 4 to 5.
Okay, cool.
Yes. So there's a will,
Mm-hmm.
a financial power of attorney,
Financial power of attorney,
a healthcare directive,
and
a HIPAA document.
HIPAA document. How is that different from the healthcare directive?
So a healthcare directive just names individuals who may make healthcare decisions for you.
Okay.
Without a HIPAA, those individuals may not have access to the medical records to make those medical decisions that are necessary.
So, gotcha. If you got the doggone health directive and you go to the hospital, they're like, okay, yeah, you can make decisions for them, but yeah, I need to look at this in order to be able to make. You can't have that without the HIPAA.
Yeah, most physicians are accommodating, but legally, so they'll make you sign their own HIPAA release if you are not able to do that. You can obviously give a verbal consent, but you can run into issues. So it's just best to have a simple HIPAA document on file for those individuals that you have named.
Okay, and that HIPAA document just says, hey, so-and-so can have access to my medical records as well.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Now, the 5th document, and not everybody may need this, but is a revocable trust or a living trust is what, a lot of times people call it.
Okay.
I limit that to, a few members of the community, business owners for one, folks that have unique assets or lot of real estate out of state, that may be a good document to have so that you're not having to do probate in multiple states.
Okay, so as Money Copilot, we do create trust, but we do it specifically for a service that we call Trust Pay that allows us to pay somebody else's bills and handle them. Let's say if they're, deployed in the military or if they are, disabled, if they are a senior citizen that's just starting to experience dementia symptoms or anything like that. Or shoot, even if you just make a bunch of money and you don't want to have to deal with paying certain bills, we can make sure that they're taken care of consistently. And it's limited in what we do. How do you differentiate what you would do for a revocable trust versus what we're doing there?
So I don't do any of what you just said.
Okay, thank you very much.
So the revocable trust plan that I put together, and we're just setting up the trust. We will help transfer the assets into the trust, but the primary goal is going to be probate avoidance. So as an individual, when I pass away, if I have, say, a home, I have some investments, I have, a 401k account, whatever other assets, say, a couple of pieces of real estate.
Okay.
If it's just in my name, I have to go through probate. My executor has to file what's called a petition to probate my will.
Okay.
And it's a long process. So
when you say long, like how long?
About a year.
Whoa. So the property could be kind of in limbo for that entire time?
It is in the estate. Yes, it is in the person's estate. So I own it. Then it is in limbo for, I guess we would say, a month or two until my executor gets appointed and my estate can be opened. Then once my estate is opened, it stays in the estate, and my executor has to pay my bills, final bills, all that stuff, any of the debts. If I have a mortgage on one of the properties, that needs to get refinanced in the name of the beneficiary. All that stuff needs to happen. And then the assets need to get transferred out of my name over to the beneficiaries that I have named in my will.
Okay.
And then you need to close the estate. The least amount of time it can take is about 6 to 7 months.
Wow.
Really? I mean, I'm being practically speaking 6 months, because you open the estate, that takes at least 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
And then you have to do publication for 4 consecutive weeks. Then you have a 3-month waiting period when you have to do notice to debtors and creditors.
Huh.
So you're at about 5-6 months already.
Yeah.
And then you have to close the estate and and distribute all the assets out. So typically, practically, it takes about a year. So what the revocable trust plan that I was talking about just a while ago, if you set that up and you move your assets into the trust, then I don't own anything. My trust owns it. So when I die, now nothing has changed because those assets are already in the trust.
Okay, so this sounds a little bit
for that planning, not for bill management and all of that.
Okay, so one of the things that you just kind of, I guess, illuminated for me, it sounds like there's some of it that's associated with kind of medieval terminology, because when I think about an estate, I think about either a king or some other ruler of that estate, right? That has to take care of things and has responsibility for the people who they have living on that estate. But only after the king or whoever passes away, then somebody else has to basically start running it in his
We
stead.
all have an estate.
Wow.
Our estate is, we all have some assets. I mean, whether it's modest estates or significant estates, we all have an estate.
Okay.
And to me, the most valuable asset that any individual has is their family, whether biological or adopted, right? And it's that asset that you're really planning for. Because by doing this planning, you're making the lives of your loved ones simpler after you're gone.
Because they don't have to think about it as much. You've taken care of it.
There's a plan.
Yeah.
Right? There's a thought out plan.
Okay.
That they just need to follow.
This is helpful.
Hey everybody, my name is Neeli Shah. I am with the law offices of Neeli Shah. We are a wills, trusts, and estates practice. So we work with individuals, business owners, and nonprofits with their legacy planning, and we can help our clients with just basic will packages to complex trusts to nonprofit planning as well, and can do charitable planning, forming nonprofits, as well as private foundations. We believe that all estate planning should be purposeful and practical.